Do 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 do. Okay, so let's go back to this these Knights Templar and how they infiltrated the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, shall we? And the York Rite of Freemasonry. Yeah, let's check that out. This is worth going over. Okay. First, let me close this annoying thing on my computer. Go away. Be gone. Alright, so, yeah, and like I said, after the Inquisition, the old Brotherhoods once again rise and they seize power, and the Freemasons create a new disguise. They infiltrate the Freemasons. And these guys lead directly to the Illuminati. This is where the Illuminati, this is where the coin starts coming from. So, the coin, this is where the term starts being coined. That's what I was trying to say, but... so yeah, and there was a monk, and yeah, I was talking about, yeah, Lance von Liebenfeld, that's right. He was a member of the Templar Order. He didn't quite fit in, left the Brotherhood and the monastery near Vienna, and took the name Lance von Liebenfeld. Now, he later finds a new Templar Order, and Lance von Liebenfeld thought that the Noble Templars were supposed to actually be in opposition with normal humanity. He didn't like all this charity stuff and taking people into the hospital, taking these common mud races into the hospital and helping out poor people, you know, because they were subhumans as far as he was concerned. And he had this notion, Lance von Liebenfeld, that the Noble Templar Knights were the noble god race. This is where stuff starts getting interesting, ladies and gentlemen. The racism that inspired the Nazi Party, Adolf Hitler. This guy was one of the driving forces behind it. Lance von Liebenfeld. You know, he was actually considered pretty much of a great thinker at the time. I mean, he was an avid writer. He just, yeah, I think he actually published a racial. It was pretty much of a racist magazine, but it was like a racist occult magazine, and it was called Ashtara, I think, which, coincidentally enough, is the name of the goddess that the Hebrews were trying to stamp out in the Old Testament, Ashtara. And the fertility goddess, the mother goddess, also the representative of Agartha, and the yellow dragon of the East, the Luminari. Not the Illuminati, the Luminari. Enemies of the Illuminati. So, now Lance von Liebenfeld, he thought that if him and his kind were to get back to their natural godlike state, they had to stamp out and crush all of the mixed blood offspring of the divine that had given into temptation and procreated with the animalistic humanoid races of the earth. Yeah, so he felt like not only do the animalistic, because this goes into ETs coming here, and yeah, this notion of ETs came here from somewhere in the universe, and they were, you know, highly advanced technologically, spiritually, mentally, had like weird mental superpowers and whatnot, and paranormal abilities, I guess you'd call them. But anyway, yeah, these beings were, and they all had blonde hair and blue eyes, and you know, like fair Nordic type skin, and Nordic Germanic skin. And so, yeah, so the story goes, these beings they come to Earth and they start breeding with the lesser animal-like races of humanoids that are on the planet, the ape-like beings. And then this is where all the other beings come from that aren't blonde hair and blue-eyed, and they think that these are animals, and ultimately, yeah, and so they think not only do the different animal races have to die, I mean, according to these guys, but the offspring of, like, say, a god race person and an animal race person has to die. So, uh, this is where, yeah, so this is where it all starts getting weird over there in Germany and Austria at the time. And yeah, it's not only him. A lot of prominent thinkers at the time were totally into this white god race thing, this Aryan god race thing. As a matter of fact, around the turn of the century back then, yeah, it was sort of fashionable for the elites to go out and search for the superhuman Aryan god race up in the what are those mountains north of India and Tibet, the Himalayas, yeah. So they would go to Tibet, on expeditions and stuff like that, searching for any trace of these, godlike Aryan beings that settled the north of India, whatever, and the Himalayas, Tibet. Yeah, Tibet's a really trippy place. When it comes to the occult and these esoteric orders, yeah, a lot of it focuses on Tibet. We'll get more into that, I think, in another show. But Lance von Liebenfeld, he mingles his. Like I said, this guy's an avid writer. He has his own magazine that he puts out, and he's published like a couple books, and it's all racist. It's all racist occult type stuff. But the guy was a hard worker anyway. He was, always kept his nose to the grindstone. But Lance von Liebenfeld mingled his Templar knowledge with the Bhagavad Gita translations. Again, this notion of how India, the northern Indians, was they may be these guys think that northern India was settled by this Aryan super race. Now, these Bhagavad Gita translations, they describe the battles of the gods of Atlantis. And Lance von Liebenfeld, he teaches that his worldview was that the Hebrew brotherhoods were the direct descendants of the godless animal ape-like races, and that they suppressed the world of the Aryan gods during the Dark Age. And now another interpretation as well in these weird occult circles starts arising. And this is where the Nordic and Germanic peoples are considered to be the only descendants of the Atlantean godlike beings, and that their origin can only be identified by their blonde hair and their blue eyes. So now, this Lance von Liebenfeld, he thinks that all these animal human beings and the mixed god-animal hybrids should be wiped out. And if they are wiped out, this will usher in a new godlike era, a new golden age. And this is like I mentioned earlier, this is the root of the racism behind Nazi philosophy. Lance von Liebenfeld, he was a big influence on a young Adolf Hitler. So since the time of the sinking of Atlantis, two castes of priests have fought against each other. I mentioned that a couple times, but I just feel like I have to keep mentioning it like every 10 minutes or so, because this stuff, you got to keep coming back to that. This all goes back to Atlantis, and that's what destroyed Atlantis, was this fight of the two brotherhoods, the Brotherhood of the Snake, and furthermore, they are representatives of Shambhala and Agartha, who actually control the surface. These are subterranean civilizations that control the surface. They are advanced beings, and when the angel-like beings had their fall, when they were kicked out of the fifth dimension and into a third-dimensional reality, they were not only not allowed back into heaven, but they were also not allowed back into the inner earth, to these different. Now, it's said that people can go to, Agartha or Shambhala, but these guys won't. You only make it there if they want you there. period. Otherwise, there's like some sort of weird psychic guard up. Like, no matter how hard you look for it, you'll never find it, or you'll walk right through it, because these guys exist on. These are fifth dimensional beings. I mean, so it's like if we exist on the third dimension, we don't have the necessary equipment in our bodies to perceive things on a fifth dimensional level. So it's up to these guys when they want to show themselves to us. It's to come down to this third 3D reality and say, hey, we are fifth dimension. Okay, but anyway, yeah, the stuff gets pretty wild. So, two castes of priests fighting against each other, Shambhala, Agartha. The Earth and its eras are just a mirror of this conflict. Now, in Austria, the old Templar monasteries are still there, and they're along the river Danube. One of them is in Braunau, and this is the town where Hitler was born. Big coincidence, eh? We can only guess if Hitler had met Lance von Liebenfeld in his youth while he was in Braunau, or whether he met him later in his years of study in Vienna. But he did actually end up meeting Lance von Liebenfeld face to face. We'll get more into that, but so, and we can be. I'll get more into this later, but I'm gonna state a fact here, but I'll prove it later. But we can be certain that Lance von Liebenfeld initiated Hitler into the old Templar knowledge. He taught him about the Brotherhood of Atlantis and the persecution of the Aramaic Brotherhood by the Hebrew Brotherhood, and all these weird and wild secrets of the past. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to check out the YouTube thing here real fast and see how that's going. Alright, that's going good. And I'll make a few more points here and then go into another break, but oh, shoot. Hello, Brotherhood of the Snake. So, Hitler is born in Danube, Austria. I'm sorry, the river Danube. He was not born in the river Danube. He was born in Braunau, Austria. Okay, so, Lance von Liebenfeld initiates Hitler. That's how it is in these organizations. It's pretty creepy if you're an initiate. These guys literally hide in the shadows and just sort of move you along, and before you know it, you find out somebody's been watching you for years and they know all your fucking secrets. So, weird, crazy, creepy stuff. But, alright, ladies and gentlemen, with that, I am going to go ahead and take another break, and I'll see you just on the other side of these important messages from our sponsor, Jimmy Dean Sausage.